save it. I like the way things are going. Kind of like it offset. There's just not so many intersecting lines. And I thought it would be neat to kind of add, I'm going to soften that angle a little bit. Just soften it. Yeah, that looks nice. Not so pointy. We'll probably soften all of these angles if I wanted to. Ooh, that looks nice. I'm just softening, taking the direct selection tool and just kind of grabbing that little icon, adding some curvatures to my objects. So we can always go back in our history and find out if we liked what we did or not. So that's after. Let's go ahead and save it. And this is before. That's before. Let's go back to what we had. And there we go. That's after. I'm just going to noodle around the placement. I do like the rounded edges. It kind of softens it. Now I'm going to play with color. And what I'd like to do is do a low contrast. So I'm going to pick, go ahead and highlight my background, and I'm just going to add just a tiny bit of white. Gives it more of a dramatic effect that way, doesn't it? Perhaps the only could be a shade lighter. Maybe even lighter than that. Maybe even something really dramatic like yellow. This whole thing could be yellow. I mean, this is where we can really play around here. Wow, that's actually kind of cool. It'd be neat to have kind of a grunge effect too on top of this. Well, let's continue. I would love to see if I can't overlap these somehow. I'll show you how, adding some shadows. It gives it a layered effect. So right now I'm just continuing to add shadow elements, just kind of flat objects that I'm kind of doing with the pen tool. Trying to make it look like there's cast shadows. I'm now at the point where I have two different versions. I have one with cast shadows and I have one where it's all connected. And I played around with the coloring a little bit. So I just went up, I highlighted everything. I went to edit colors, and I just played around with the adjust color balance so I can adjust the shadows, the shadow little layers, and also the character letters at the same time. I don't have to sit there and try to adjust everything manually. I could just kind of play around with coloring really quickly to find what I like. So I kind of settled on the steeper red. Of course, this probably needs to be neutral now. So we're starting to get there. And I think I do like I might even make it more dramatic of a cast shadow. Let's see how that looks. So we're just going to extend it out, maybe double the width of the last shadows, and see if it can be. Right now I really like it, but you can't really see it as well. It's very subtle. So let's see if we can make it more dramatic. That's the whole point, is to make this poster kind of a dramatic piece to look at. So anything we can do to kind of dramatize what we're doing. So I'm just doubling everything. And everything is not perfect yet. We'll get there at the last stage. I'm still in the concept process, and you know what? I can probably draw shadows there too. Totally missed that opportunity. It's doubling everything, and I think that was the last shadow. So that, I actually like it with more subtle shadows, so that's okay. That's why we experiment. So let me add that shadow here. I think there's an opportunity. And our shadow is cast here to the left, so why don't we stick to the left of the A here for our shadow. Just take our direct selection tool. Let me go ahead and sample that darker color. I could see where I can adjust my shadows a little better for the other ones to make it aligned perfectly. Might need to add a curve to that too. Right there. Okay. And then up here I saw some adjustments I can make. Make that flush. Might even be able to bring this inside the O. And then put the O on as the top layer. Let's do that so we can get a nice perfect shape. There we go. And that curve needs to be slightly adjusted. Just doing small optical adjustments. Let's make that a little thicker. That just a tiny bit thicker. Great. So do all the shadows make sense? We may not need all the shadows. I kind of like this one gone. Just not sure why, I just like that. Bring that up a hair. Make sure these are aligned, so I'm just going to do a top alignment. Make sure these are perfectly aligned down at the bottom. I think those already optically align that. Let's make sure these are aligned. Yep. That is all aligned toward the top. I could probably put, I think there is a shadow there, but it got covered up when I adjust. Yep, there is a shadow there. So let me arrange or select next object below. There it is. Just gonna arrange and bring him back to the front. There he is. Thought I was missing a shadow. Okay, so let me go ahead and save it. I'd love to get kind of a neat, kind of worn out look to it, because right now it looks really clean and I like that, but it'd be neat to add a texture or something on top of this. So I'm going to go search for some textures and I'll be right back.